The Invincible Illusion, June 24th, 1941. The road to Minsk, 6:30 hours. The air is a gritty cocktail of pulverized brick, diesel exhaust, and the sweet, sickly smell of burning hay. Oberleutnant First Lieutenant Rolf Kessel, a platoon commander in the 7th Panzer Regiment, 10th Panzer Division, feels the familiar, bone-jarring vibration of his Panzer III AUSF. His throat is raw. For 48 hours, here's Gruppe Mid-Army Group Center has been a relentless steel avalanche, slicing through the Soviet border defenses. Kessel and his crew are the confident masters of blitzkrieg. They are veterans. They crushed Poland in weeks. They humbled France in little more than a month. Their Panzer III, with its 5 cm WK-38 main gun, is, they believe, the pinnacle of modern tank design. The radio headset crackles against Kessel's ear. All call signs acting. Reports of new model enemy armor, classification unknown. Proceed with caution. Kessel smirks to his gunner, a young corporal named Haas. Caution? Against what? Ivan's tractors? Their experience so far has only reinforced this arrogance. The Soviet tanks they've met the light, flimsy T-26s and the fast but thin-skinned BT-7 South, are jokes. Kessel's gunner calls them Nullboxen, pop guns. You hit them, they burst into flames. The Soviet infantry is disorganized, surrendering in droves. This campaign, Hitler promised, would be over before the winter snows. Kessel's platoon crests a gentle rise. Below them lies a vast, sloping field of unripe wheat, bisected by a muddy track. And on that track, there is movement. Targets, Haas calls out, his voice suddenly tight. 11 o'clock, range. 900 meters. Kessel raises his binoculars, the rubber cups digging into his sweat-streaked face. His stomach tightens. This isn't a T-26. It's not one of the absurd, multi-turreted T-35 land battleships they'd seen in recognition posters. There are 4 of them. They are low, wide, and angled in ways he's never seen. They don't have the neat vertical plates of his Panzer. Every surface is sloped, as if designed to deflect a blow. And they are fast, churning through the mud that would have slowed his own tank to a crawl. They don't see us, Kessel breathes. Haas, target lead vehicle, armor piercing, 800 meters. Fire when ready. The Panzer III lurches slightly as the 5 cm gun barks. Kessel tracks the bright streak of the tracer round. It flies true. It hits the front plate of the lead Soviet tank and vanishes. A ricochet. Haas yells, disbelief in his voice. It bounced. Again, aim for the turret. The loader rams another shell. The gun fires. Again, the 50 mm round slams into the strange tank's turret and shrieks off into the sky. A harmless spark. Before Kessel can even process what he is seeing, the world explodes. A brilliant flash erupts from the lead Soviet tank. There is no warning, just an ear-splitting crack, like the sky itself has been torn in two. A half-second later, the Panzer III to Kessel's right, commanded by his friend, Lieutenant Biermann, is obliterated. It doesn't just burn. It disintegrates. The 76 mm high explosive shell strikes the thinner side armor, and the entire vehicle is consumed in a flash fire of fuel and ammunition. The turret is blown 20 feet into the air, landing in the wheat with a dull thud. Reverse. Schnell. Kessel screams into the intercom, his voice cracking. Deploy smoke. Get us out of here. The Panzer III whines in protest, its gears grinding as it scrambles backward off the ridge. Another shell screams past Kessel's cupola, so close he can feel the pressure wave buffet his helmet. It strikes the ground where they were a second before, gouging a crater the size of a staff car. Kessel's platoon is broken. 2 tanks are gone. He is running. They retreat behind the ridge, his heart hammering against his ribs, the smell of Biermann's burning tank filling his nostrils. They had done everything right. They had the element of surprise. They had the first shot. They had superior training. And it meant nothing. That night, in a hurried, panicked debriefing, the reports flood in from across the front. From Lithuania to Ukraine, the story is the same. A new tank, designated T-34, is appearing. And the backbone of the Panzerwaffe, the anti-tank gun that was supposed to kill it, is useless. The illusion of invincibility has been shattered in a single terrifying morning. The Door-Knocker G3rd, 1941, near the Dnieper River, a Panzerger, tank hunter squad, lies sweating in a drainage ditch. Their uniforms are black with mud and stinging insects. Their weapon, the 3.7 centimeters Panzer 36, or Pak 36, is perfectly camouflaged. It's light, accurate, and has served them well in every campaign. It is the pride of the infantry. They hear it before they see it. The rumble is deeper than a Panzer's, a heavy, grinding bass note that seems to shake the fillings in their teeth. "There," whispers the gun captain. Feldwebel, Sergeant Hoff. A T-34 emerges from the tree line 600 meters away. It isn't moving cautiously. It's advancing at a steady, arrogant pace, its long gun traversing slightly. "Wait, ... Hoff murmurs. The crew is rigid. This is what they train for. The optimal range for the Pak 36 is under 500 meters. 400 meters. Fewer. The small gun barks, a sharp, clean crack. The 37 millimeters tungsten core shell, the PZGR-40, their best ammunition traces a flat, fast line. It strikes the T-34's sloping frontal plate. Ping. The shell ricochets, sailing lazily into the sky. The T-34 doesn't even slow down. Again, aim for the turret ring. Crack, ping, another ricochet, crack, ping, a third. The loader is jamming shells in, his hands a blur, but it's no use that the T-34 is now at 200 meters. It seems to notice the nuisance. The massive turret swivels. It sees us. Deckung! Hoff screams, diving for the bottom of the ditch. The T-34's 76.2 millimeters gun fires. The blast is concussive. It doesn't fire an anti-tank round. It fires high explosive. The shell detonates just above the ditch, and the world simply ceases to exist for Hoff's crew. The Pak 36 is flipped over, its barrel bent, its shield riddled with shrapnel. This scene repeats itself with horrifying frequency across the 2,000-mile front. The infantrymen, who once felt safe behind their trusted guns, now feel utterly naked. They quickly, bitterly, rename their weapon. It is no longer the Pak 36. It is the Heeresangriff Furt, the Army Door-Knocker. It can do nothing but announce their position before they are annihilated. This is the second, more terrifying shock of Operation Barbarossa. It's not just that the Panzer III is outmatched. It's that the entire anti-tank philosophy of the Wehrmacht is obsolete. The problem is the shape. German engineers, in their reports back to Berlin, sound almost offended. The T-34 is a mess. The welding seams are appallingly crude. The interior is devoid of comfort, cramped and filled with fumes. The vision ports are primitive. By their standards, it is a second-rate, almost agricultural piece of machinery. But it has two things they cannot counter. First, the armor. It's not just sloped on the front. It's sloped on the sides, the rear, the turret. Every surface is an angled trap. A 50mm shell hitting the T-34's 45mm frontal plate, which is sloped at 60 degrees, has to penetrate the equivalent of 90 millimeters of vertical steel. The German 5 centimeters gun can't do it. The 3.7 centimeters gun can't even scratch it. Second, the mobility. German Panzers have narrow tracks, designed for the firm roads of Western Europe. They are high maintenance, complex, and delicate. The T-34 has absurdly wide tracks, part of a Christie suspension system the Germans had dismissed. As the first autumn rains begin, the the season of mud arrives. The German Panzers sink. They wallow, bog down, and become stationary targets. The primitive T-34, with its simple diesel engine and wide tracks, just floats over the morass. It goes where it pleases. For the German High Command, this is a crisis of ideology. Their entire war machine was built on the belief in their own technical and industrial supremacy. And now they are being defeated by a tank they would have been embarrassed to build. The commission November 20th, 1941. A captured vehicle park near Mtsensk. The air is bitter, heavy with the smell of pine smoke and frozen diesel. A group of men stands in a semicircle, stamping their feet in the hardened mud. Their expensive leather greatcoats and civilian hats looking absurdly out of place against the backdrop of burnt-out artillery. These are not soldiers. They are the titans of German industry. Dr. Ferdinand Porsche, head of the firm that bears his name. Walter Rowland, chief engineer from Daimler-Benz. Dr. Aders from Henschel and Sohn. They are the Panzer Commission, a special commission of Germany's brightest weapon designers and industrialists. Pulled from their comfortable offices in Stuttgart and Berlin and flown directly to the frozen hell of the Eastern Front. They have been summoned by an increasingly furious General Oberst, Colonel General Heinz Guderian. Guderian, the father of the Panzerwaffe, wastes no time on pleasantries. His face is gaunt, his eyes burning with a cold rage. My Panzer crews, he states, his voice clipping the frigid air, are being asked to fight with hunting rifles against machine guns. Your reports in Berlin mean nothing. Look. He gestures with his riding crop. A team of mechanics, their breath pluming, are using a recovery vehicle to haul a captured T-34 onto level ground. It is battle-scarred. Its dark green paint is scorched and pockmarked. At least a dozen 37 millimeters and 50 millimeters impact craters are visible on its frontal plate, like shallow, metallic dimples. None have penetrated. The engineers walk forward, almost reverently. They are no longer arrogant. They are baffled. They run gloved hands over the crude, spattering weld seams. They measure the 60-degree slope of the bug panzer, the glacis plate. They climb inside. Dr. Porsche, a man of genius-level intellect, emerges from the driver's hatch shaking his head, his spectacles fogged. It is impossible, he mutters to his colleagues, but Guderian hears him. Impossible? It is routine, Herr Doctor. Look at this. Guderian snaps. He leads them to the rear. The engine cover is open. It is a diesel. A ww2 aluminum block diesel. We do not have such an engine. It is light. It does not catch fire when hit, unlike our benzene engines. And the tracks. He points to the wide, 500 millimeters tracks. They float on the mud that has buried my entire army. This primitive thing is technically superior in every way that matters. The Commission's findings are a shockwave that travels all the way to Hitler's Volkslehr headquarters in Rastenburg. The T-34 is not a lucky one-off. It is the product of brilliant, if brutish, design. It has the magic triangle of armored warfare, firepower. Its L11 76.2 millimeters gun, soon upgraded to the even more lethal F-34, fires a high explosive shell that shatters German panzers, and an armor-piercing round that, at normal combat ranges, doesn't even need to be precise, mobility. Its V2 diesel engine and Christie suspension give it unparalleled cross-country speed and range, protection. Its revolutionary sloped armor provides a degree of immunity that the Germans simply cannot match. The panic in Berlin is no longer theoretical. It is a race for survival. The Wehrmacht is now facing a war of attrition and technology. The very war their doctrine was designed to avoid. The orders given to the Commission are stark and desperate. Design a tank that can kill the T-34, and do it yesterday. But a new tank takes years. The German soldiers bleeding in the snow outside Moscow don't have years. They don't even have weeks. They have to survive the winter with the door knockers and the suddenly fragile Panzers they have, while a new, terrifying reality dawns. The Untermensch, the subhuman Slavs they were told were a primitive, Asiatic horde, had just outdesigned them. The Glaskannons, January 12, 1942. The Volkhov Front, south of Leningrad. -28°C. The snow is not white. It is a pale, deathly blue in the pre-dawn light. For the crew of a Sturmgeschütz III Stu G3 assault gun, silence is their only armor. They are huddled in their vehicle, parked inside the hollowed-out shell of a brick factory. They are not an offensive weapon today. They are bait. Their Stu G3, a low-profile, turretless tank killer, is armed with the original, short-barreled 7.5 centimeters gun. It's a superb infantry support weapon, but its low-velocity shells are all but useless against a T-34's front. Their only hope is a flank shot. The radio crackles. Contact 2. No, 3 boogies. Moving west on the lower road. 500 meters. The Stu G commander, Wachtmeister, Master Sergeant Brem, peers through his periscope. His breath fogs the lens. He wipes it. There they are. 3 T-34 76s rolling confidently through the snowdrifts, their diesel engines a low, untroubled throb. They are not scouting. They are hunting. Wait, Brem whispers to his gunner. Let the first one pass. We take the second. Aim for the engine deck. Hole at him. He is ordering the use of a heat-round, high-explosive anti-tank. It's a new shape-charge ammunition designed to defeat armor through chemical energy, not kinetic force. It's unreliable, inaccurate at long range, and sensitive to the extreme cold. But it's all they have. The lead T-34 rumbles past their hiding spot. The second one fills the gunner's sight. Now! The Stu G rocks violently as the gun fires. The shell hits the T-34 side, just behind the turret. For a second, nothing happens. Then, a jet of orange flame lances from the impact point. The T-34 shudders to a halt, a thick column of black, oily smoke pouring from its hatches. But there is no time for celebration. The other 2 T-34s react instantly. Their turrets, sluggish in the frozen grease, swing towards the factory. Reload. Schnell. Brem yells. It's too late. The first T-34 fires. The 76.2 millimeters high explosive shell doesn't even need to be accurate. It strikes a brick pillar 10 meters from the Stu G. The resulting explosion is a storm of shrapnel and pulverized masonry. The Stu G's tracks are shattered, the periscope smashed. The second T-34 fires. This time, it's an armor-piercing round. It punches through the Stu G's thin 50 millimeters frontal plate as if it were cardboard, kills the driver and gunner instantly, and exits through the engine block. The battle for Brem's crew is over. This is the new calculus of the Eastern Front. The Germans, masters of the offensive, are now relegated to defensive ambushes. Their only successes come from desperate, close-range flanking shots, often at suicidal risk. Back in Germany, the factories are in a state of panic. The Panzer Commission's report has lit a fire under the Armaments Ministry. Two pure solutions are ordered: the heavy, complex Tiger and the revolutionary T-34-inspired Panther. But these are fantasy weapons. They won't see combat for another year. The Army needs a solution now. The solution is an ugly, brilliant, and terrifyingly vulnerable stopgap: the Panzer tank hunter. Engineers scramble. They take the chassis of obsolete tanks, the Czech-built Panzer 38T, the hopelessly outdated Panzer II, and rip the top off. On this small, light chassis, they bolt the most powerful gun they can find, the new 7.5 centimeters PaK-40, or, in a move of profound irony, they mount captured Soviet 7.62 centimeters guns, rebored to fire German ammunition. The result is the Martyr series. It is not a tank. It is a gun-carrier. It is tall. It has virtually no armor, just a thin gun shield that won't stop a rifle bullet, let alone a tank shell. Its crew is completely exposed to the elements, to shrapnel, to snipers. But it has a gun that can kill a T-34 from 1,000 meters away. It is a glass cannon. For the crews of these martyrs, the war becomes a terrifying game of hide and seek. You park in a forest, camouflage your vehicle to the point of invisibility, and wait. You must get the first shot, because if the T-34 sees you, you will not get a second. The long arm, June 28, 1942, south of Voronezh. 11:40 hours. The air is no longer frigid. It is a choking, shimmering wave of heat and dust. Operation Barbarossa is dead. In its place is Fall Blaukäse, Blue, a massive new summer offensive aimed at the oil fields of the Caucasus. UNTER of FIZIER, Sergeant Karl-Heinz Rieger, a gunner with the 24th Panzer Division, wipes sweat and grit from his eyes. His new tank, a Panzer IV USSR, smells of factory paint, lubricating oil, and hot steel. He and his crew are not the same arrogant men who invaded this country a year ago. They are survivors. They are wary, professional, and they carry the ghosts of the winter. They have seen what the T-34 can do. They have watched friends in Panzer eyes fire round after round, only to be swatted from existence by a single 76.2 millimeter shell. But their new tank is different. The chassis is familiar, but the gun is a monster. Gone is the short, stubby 7.5 centimeters cigar lighter of the old Panzer IV. In its place is the new KWK-40 long, high-velocity 7.5 centimeters cannon. It is the direct, panicked answer to the T-34. Rieger rests his forehead against the padded sight. His commander, Lieutenant Voss, is scanning the endless sunflower-choked steppe. Contact, Voss's voice crackles, flat and calm. 3 T-34s, 1,200 meters. Traversing left to right. They're on the move. A year ago, this would have been a death sentence. At 1,200 meters, their old 5 centimeters gun couldn't even dent the T-34, while the T-34's 76.2 millimeters gun could and did kill them. Gunner, Voss orders. Lead target. Panzer Grenade 39. Rieger's hands are steady. He lays the crosshairs on the moving dark shape. The new sight optics are superb. He adds lead, his calculations practiced, instinctive. Loaded, the loader grunts. Slamming the 6.8 kilogram armor-piercing capped, ballistic capped shell into the breech. Target acquired. Fewer. The new gun doesn't boom like the old one. It cracks, a violent, sharp explosion that fills the turret with acrid smoke. The entire tank rocks backward on its suspension. Rieger, already tracking the bright tracer, sees the shell cover the 1,200 meters in just over a second. It does not bounce. It strikes the T-34's sloped glacis plate. There is a brilliant, white-hot flash, and the shell punches through. It disappears into the hull. The Soviet tank careers wildly, its right track digging into the black earth. A second later, a sheet of flame jets from the driver's hatch, followed by a dense column of black smoke. The T-34 is dead. Good hit. Good hit. The loader screams. Next target, Voss commands, his voice unchanged. Rieger, 900 meters. The other two T-34s, alerted, are turning towards them. They are fast. On the way, Rieger says. He traverses the turret, finds the target. The T-34 fires. The shell winds high over their turret. It's a ranging shot. They're dialing them in. Fire. Rieger's gun cracks again. The shot is perfect. It hits the second T-34 dead center in the turret. The 7.5 centimeters shell slices through the cast steel mantlet, and the resulting explosion detonates the T-34's ready ammunition. The turret is lifted clean off the chassis, hurled into the air in a perfect fiery arc, the third T-34. Its commander, clearly realizing he is not fighting a door knocker, fires a hasty shot that bounces off the Panzer IV's new 50mm frontal plate, and then retreats, disappearing into a gully, and a cloud of dust. Silence returns to the turret, broken only by the hum of the engine and the ringing in Rieger's ears. He and his crew have just done the impossible. They have engaged a T-34 platoon at long range and decisively won. This is the new arms race. The T-34 shock has forced German engineering to abandon its complex, pre-war designs and focus on one thing: pure killing power. The new Long 75, both on the Panzer IV and in its towed version, the Pak 40, finally gives the German Lanzer a weapon that can master the primitive Soviet tank. But the T-34 is not a static design. The Soviets, learning from this new lethal threat, are already working on an answer. The era of the invincible tank is over for both sides. The war has now become a simple, brutal equation of steel, velocity, and attrition.